the New York Giants Sports Talk and Entertainment. I laugh. We did a video last night. We were going to post it this morning, and it was talking about social media, Daniel Jones and Dwayne Haskins, and how if you go back and read some social media posts, a lot of people are saying that it was a mistake for the Giants to draft Daniel Jones. We should have went with Dwayne Haskins because he's having a better year statistically and all of this. And we went through why you need to wait and see on both quarterbacks, and you can't just all of a sudden just say, okay, we're gonna say Haskins is better than Jones or Jones is better than Haskins. And then while we were loading the video, what happens? Dwayne Haskins gets benched. And I love the fact that he didn't even just get benched. He got knocked down to third string under Ron Rivera. So he is behind Alex Smith. And, statistically, Dwayne Haskins had his best game against Baltimore. He didn't throw any interceptions, didn't throw any touchdowns, but he did throw for over 300 yards, completed 71% of his passes, blah, blah, blah. And what I basically said in the video was, the one that we didn't post, and I'll post it under the online Big Blue full access channel. But what I basically said in the video was, Dwayne Haskins was not my favorite quarterback coming out of college. Neither was Daniel Jones. I wanted to draft Josh Allen, the defensive end. I think that is clearly known. But I understood as, for Dave Gettleman, they always say that, and at least every GM says it, that if you see a quarterback that you love, that you want, you need to go and get that quarterback. So I understood drafting Jones where they did. Got it, understand it totally. But it's interesting that if you take a look at the statistical differences between Dwayne Haskins is having a better season than Daniel Jones, not by much. Daniel Jones has played against, I would say, better competition in regards to defenses, while Dwayne Haskins has played maybe against one really good defense, one good defense. But like I said, it's interesting that you take away the 70% completion percentage he had against Baltimore. He was completing 50% of his passes. Yeah, he threw for over 939 yards, 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, which is statistically is much better than Daniel Jones. But Ron Rivera, who knows that he has a good defense, is trying to win football games. He's not a great defense. He's got a good defense. And he sees that the talent that he has on offense and defense is good enough to win in the NFL. He may not win 7 games. He may win 6 games, but he has the understanding that, you know what, Washington has been down for so long that it's time that we come out here and try to win some games. So he benches Dwayne Haskins and brings in Kyle Allen, which I think is very interesting that they're doing it midweek. Well, usually if you bench someone like this, you are going to do it midweek, only because you're going to get them prepared for Sunday. But I just find it interesting that he has done this after just 4 games. Now, if you correlate this with the New York Football Giants and take a look at their season and their offensive woes, would this be something that the Giants would consider doing with Daniel Jones? And I even said during our bold prediction show that Daniel Jones will be benched sometime this season. And I'm only saying that because with this regression, sometimes if you take a look back at Giant history and quarterback history, if you sit a guy down for a game or a quarter or a half and let him watch and just slow everything down for a minute, most of the times, if he's a good quarterback, he will come back as a better player the next week or a couple weeks down the road. It's just proven through NFL history. But do the Giants, with a rookie head coach, have the balls to turn around and say, we are going to play Colt McCoy? We are going to bench our starting quarterback, and we are going to play Colt McCoy. Do they have the balls to say that? You know what? And honestly, I'm going to say no, because Joe Judge is trying to prove himself as a head coach. Dave Gettleman is trying to save his job as a general manager, and they probably feel right now Daniel Jones gives them the best opportunity to win games if he can find that spark, if he can find that magic that he had when he was playing, last year under Pat Shurmur. And like I said, I am a Pat Shurmur hater. Everyone knows I hated Pat Shurmur. I ripped Pat Shurmur relentlessly. But you know what? Pat Shurmur is a good offense. He's not a great offensive coordinator. He's a good offensive coordinator and a good quarterback coach. And he was a good coach for Daniel Jones. Right now, and I said this when they hired Joe Judge, I do not know if he is the right coach to maturate Daniel Jones into the NFL and into his second year. And same with Jason Garrett. I didn't feel that these two were the best hires for Daniel Jones. My thought was always you're going to go with McCarthy because of the fact that he is a quarterback guru. He did win a Super Bowl, but the whole fiasco with that. And then we go with Judge, which I'm not saying Judge is going to be a failure yet. I'm not saying after 4 games I'm hanging it up on Judge. I am just saying that I never felt that this coaching staff was built to help Daniel Jones succeed in year 2. And I've said this on multiple videos. And I understood the Jason Garrett signing. I still do. He is a guy that was successful as a coordinator, did have success as a head coach in Dallas, even with Jerry Jones and all the drama that went with that position. I was concerned with Jason Garrett that he was 5 years removed from play calling. But I felt that he would be, he could help. He could help Daniel Jones. But then if you take a look at what's happening in Dallas, the renaissance of Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott was a good quarterback for years under Jason Garrett. Now he's playing, and I know they're always playing from behind and throwing the ball a lot in Dallas, but he's playing lights out at times. And I'm wondering if that's because he's under McCarthy. Now, getting back to the whole Jones-Haskins fiasco. If you bench Haskins this early in the season, that's telling me you think you have a team that has talent enough to win some games. If you would have kept Haskins in, I think it's basically just saying, hey, listen, it's another lost season. We have a good defense. Let's just play it out and let's get him the experience that he needs to hopefully be the quarterback of the future. So to me, what are the Giants saying by keeping Jones in the game? I mean, if Jones, let's say, has a bad week against Dallas, do we think about bringing in Colt McCoy? I mean, I personally would have brought in Colt McCoy last week. And I know Colt McCoy is not the savior long term, but like I've said it before, Colt McCoy is a professional enough quarterback to understand in a short period of time that he could play for maybe a couple games without having too much of a drop-off. From the play. And right now, Daniel Jones' play is so up and down and so sporadic. And I know everyone wants to blame the line and the wide receivers. And when I did the red stripe video, people are like, well, the problem is that's just overrated. He doesn't have time to throw. Here's the problem with that theory. If you are taking the ball from the center, and the moment you take the ball from the center, you are locked onto your primary target as you're backpedaling, that has nothing to do with you not having the amount of time to throw. That just has to do with that you are trying to get the ball to your primary receiver. That's all that is. That has nothing to do with, well, he doesn't have time. Like I said, if you line up, you snap the ball, and the minute you snap the ball, your helmet is facing the guy you're throwing to, that's a problem. Watch the tape. Watch the tape, guys. Watch the game. It happened so many times. And yes, he had some problems. The line had some problems against the Rams early on. They gave up the 4 sacks, but they only gave up 1 sack in the second half. And there was plenty of times Daniel Jones had a clean pocket. And Daniel Jones, he still just doesn't have the pocket presence and the pocket awareness. In some ways, it's maddening because there was a couple plays against the Rams that I thought the ball was going to get stripped again, because of the fact that he wasn't feeling the rush and the pressure behind him. And there was 2 plays where he was about to go back and Rams players just missed knocking the ball out of his hands. So, I mean, I'm not saying bench Daniel Jones right now. I'm saying let's see what happens in Dallas. But if we have another fiasco in Dallas, and the problem is I get scared is with Dallas defense has been so bad recently that against our offense, this is a get-right game for the Dallas defense. And I don't think – and if we go a track meet with the Cowboys and their receivers, we're going to lose. Our secondary is good, but our secondary is that good, and we still don't have a consistent pass rush. So we need to play ground and pound against the Dallas and keep the Dallas offense off the field. And but we need to figure this out. Like I said, if they are willing – the Redskins are willing to bench their 15th overall pick – who's actually outplayed Jones in spurts. Are we going to do the same thing? And like I said, I've had problems with Dwayne Haskins since out of college. I thought Dwayne Haskins had too big of a windup. I thought he was what I refer to as a lollipop thrower on the deep ball, which basically means that he gets too much air under the ball, and which allows defensive backs to make up the ground they may be against the receiver, and they also can make up the ground and get in position for the interceptions. But you know what? I had problems with Daniel Jones coming out of college too. So, but you know what? It's not time to it's not time to throw the baby out with the bathwater on this one. It's time to just kind of wait and see. We don't know what either of these quarterbacks are going to do. We are just going to need to wait and see. And same thing with Daniel Jones. We just need to wait and see how he plays. But we do need to think long term if Daniel Jones is going to be the guy, if there's a possibility that we should just go with Colt McCoy for a game and let Daniel Jones sit and think a minute about what's going on and kind of go from there. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you can like, if you can subscribe, if you can ring that bell, you know what that means, that'd be awesome.